She's a vast development consultant and gender human rights advocate who has thrived in the area of advocacy for 12 years. Her engagements with international organizations, corporations, and foreign governments in 4 continents to develop and implement sustainable economic, political, and public policy spans over 27 years. She has responded to the rally cry for more women representation in the political sphere and has contested elections 3 times. She was the only female candidate in both parties, both PDP and APC, to contest the National Assembly seats from the northwest of the country. Recognized for her contribution to society and community advancement, she has received numerous awards worldwide. Constantly aware of the major role that her community played in her development, she views her passion for voluntary work towards empowerment and nation building as the only path to take. The Isamo Magoro Foundation is her brainchild. The foundation focuses on empowering women and youth. She opened Bilmore Technical and Vocational Center for Special Needs Children in 2016. Her interest in sound governing structures, education, social policies, and reform has seen her journey to over 38 countries. She has strived to create awareness of how Nigeria and Africa's tremendous opportunities and capabilities far outweigh the challenges faced on the continent. Join me in welcoming Dr. Bilkisu Magoro to today's program. You're welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
And why did you start your Academy for Special Needs Children?
Well, that goes a long way. I mean, back, the same thing. When we were much younger, as a child, I used to see a lot of, like neighbors and family friends that had children with disability. But at that time, of course, they used to lock them up. And then, we'll see 1 or 2. But as we got older, I just realized that, I don't see them anymore. And I looked into the society too, and I noticed that you don't have a certain group of people with disability beyond a certain age. Not just physically challenged. So we have learning disability. There's some that have a lot of other disabilities that are not visual, apart from a physical disability that we see. I realized that a lot of them are not, you don't get to a certain age, you don't see them. And it's quite honest amongst us. So I started snooping around to find out, okay, look, what's going on? Why is it we don't? So a lot of them, especially by the time they get to their teenage age, there's a lot that happens, parents get tired of them, so a lot of things happen. And they're not in society. The parents give up on the children. A lot of them would say die accidental death and things like that. So I thought, and then I looked around, we don't have that kind of academy or something within the society. And that's when it prompted me that, I thought, we needed to create something for people with learning disability within the society and give them a chance. A lot of them would have a learning disability, but they're very productive. They're the people that, we could inject into the economy, and they could be part of the economy of Nigeria itself. And that's how I started, from early intervention and going on to the vocational training for the older ones. That we tend to pick up.
So what has been the impact so far? The Academy's impact so far on society?
It's, if I must say so myself, that we've made some progress. We've done a lot of intervention with the younger ones, that's the early ones, where we intervene where they have their challenges and then send them back to mainstream schools. The older ones too that are going into primary, secondary school, there are lots of disability that we tend to ignore, like things like dyslexia, delayed processing in children. Of course, we talk about people with autism, which is all part of it. We have children with and adults with cerebral palsy and the rest of them. So these are all different challenges and disabilities that do exist. So with that, we've been able to intervene with some of them. That's the younger ones, and they've gone back to mainstream schools. Then we have the ones that probably have dyslexia, has a learning disability, or their processing, it's been a bit delayed. We've actually worked on, they've gone into secondary schools, in mainstream schools. For the older ones that probably have not had any formal education and they are a bit older, we've had some that have come through us, and then we've put them through self-help skills, and then we've taught them vocational skills, which they've moved on, and some of them have opened up different things like the business center for those that are very good in computing. Those have trained for the civil defense. We have one of ours that is an NDA now. So we have in different fields. It's just that some of them just need that intervention and the little extra, for them to actually get the grasp of what is actually required, and then we put them back into mainstream school. So we've had very good results, and so far I think we've had about 70 to 80 children have come through us. Both children and young adults. So we're crawling up, but we're making our little impact in society and creating the awareness that we need to.
We'll be taking a short break, and when we come back, Dr. Bilkisu will be talking on the rights of women in politics and leadership. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've been chatting with Dr. Bilkisu Magoro, a politician and human rights activist. Back to you, Dr. Bilkisu. You've been vocal about female, representation and in all spheres, politics, leadership, and all that. Many have argued that women don't have rights. That's popular say that women do not have rights to advocate or ask for this 35% affirmation or specific positions. What is your position on this?
Well, of course, you know very well. I mean, if I'm advocating for women's rights, my position is that we all have equal rights. By the Constitution of Nigeria, everybody has equal rights in Nigeria. So the only places that would have little problems intervention is when it comes to cultural beliefs and religious beliefs too. And that's where sometimes we have this hindrance with women participation or proposed involvement. But what the rule that actually governs this country is the Constitution of Nigeria. And the Constitution of Nigeria says we all have equal rights. So we all have equal rights to all equal opportunities.
Okay, I'm going to, deviate a little bit. As someone who has taken care of children with special needs, what's the most difficult challenge you face so far in this area of life?
I think the most challenging part of it is people understanding that these children with special needs are individuals too. They have a right, and they are individuals that actually understand what is going on. It's just that their own way of life is probably a bit different from ours, okay? So the definition of what we say is normal is totally different for different people, okay? Like if you look at the spider web is normal to a spider, but it is not normal for a fly because it's a trap to a fly. So what actually is the definition of a normal person? We all have some kind of challenge. It's just that what we have overpowers the other, our other abilities, overpowers those challenges we have. We all have one kind of challenge or the other. So these people, individuals, have a right just like any other person to live within society, be involved in society, be employed, for them to have a decent education, for them to have decent homing, health, and everything. They have every right that you and I have, and they should be given that right. So it's making people understand that, because we already within the society have built this, like what I say, this cage and belief around people with disability, especially the non-visual disability. For some places and some cultures, they believe that they're witches and wizards. In some cultures, in northern cultures, for those that are probably hallucinating or have schizophrenia, you identify them and say that they are called Iska. That's in Hausa. They have genes and the rest of them. So, we have to create this awareness. It's very difficult when you try to explain to people that no, these children and young adults, we can actually produce something good out of them. They can just live like any other person with the right attention and the right education. They cannot go through the same education as the mainstream education. The education has to be tailored for them, and it has to be processed in a different way. So we need to create that awareness, and people have to believe and understand that they all have a right, especially families that have them. A lot of families that have them don't bring them out. They hide these children. Yeah. There's nothing to hide about these children. These children and the young adults are loving people. They're just wonderful people. In fact, they're more trustworthy because they don't have any, they can't tell you lies. They just tell you as it is. They're honest and, straight, and they have their intelligence too. A lot of them that, you see like in the Silicon Valley are not, they're all normal. They all have their challenges. Some are fantastic in computers, they're geniuses in mathematics, yes. Very good in sciences. You just need to know them. You need to be part of them. Go into their world. We want them to come into our world and just be like us. We have to learn to go into their world and discover who they are and approach these people, but they're fantastic and wonderful people. I enjoy being with them and work with them.
You speak so proudly about these children. You are with passion and all that. What's your greatest worry about their future, especially in a country like Nigeria?
Well, it's the worry about their future that got me to have the center, because most times the parents are the caregivers for these children. They look after them. So the major worry is, okay, what would happen to them when the parents are not around? And that's where we have this short lifespan, because if the parents are not around, they're moved from maybe relatives to relatives or people that will not even want to take care of them, because it's very difficult to manage them. And that's why I got the center going, so that they can become self-reliant and probably build on different careers that they want for themselves. So with more models like what I already have, which I pray that the government would take up, and the same thing with the education system too would take up, we'll be able to make them independent. They can move into, they'll be part of society. You wouldn't even notice that these people exist, because everybody's taking part in doing their daily jobs, that they should do. There's some of them that cannot write their names, but if you just, dismantle a computer now, they just put it back for you. They assemble it. If you put them by a car and work on the engines, they will work on it, but they cannot write their names. So that we have to find a way that we can include them into society. And I'm hoping and praying that we're creating more awareness. But it's slow, but there's more awareness because now a lot of activities that take place, we tend to have people with disability that are being involved. But the definition of disability is just physical disability. Yeah. We're not talking about the non-physical disability, the one that you don't see that do exist, and there are a lot of them too.
What's your proudest moment working with these children?
I think, for us, we celebrate every moment. So even if a child that does not look at you, does not focus and look at you, decides to look at you one day, I'm over the moon. Not when the one that is that is not verbal, says something, you should see us celebrate. Or the ones that comes with cerebral palsy, and we've done so much work on them, and we see them taking their first steps. We celebrate every moment. Is it the one that cannot hold a pen, that eventually can hold a pencil, and is able to grip? We celebrate every day. We celebrate. It's everyday celebration. We celebrate every moment. We don't take anything for granted. So for some of us that we call ourselves normal, we take things for granted, but we don't take anything for granted at the center. We celebrate everything. Every moment is celebrated.
How has your involvement with special needs, influenced your parenting style?
Okay, so parenting style. What I'll say is that I went actually into the special needs after my children were all grown. They're all grown now and everything, alhamdulillah. They're young adults doing their own stuff now. But I actually went more into it after the children, my children were all have all grown. Oh, okay. So, but then it creates lots of patience in an individual. You have to be very patient. You have to be able to accept a lot of things, and you really cannot be, can't get irritated easily. And it makes one very thankful for what God has done for them, because when you see a lot of things, then you realize that you've been blessed a lot with a lot of things, you know.
Okay. Well, lastly, on this issue, what's the biggest misunderstanding you would like to clarify regarding children with special needs? You know, society has, especially non-physical children.
And of non-physical challenged
Yes.
children, yeah.
Yes. So, what's that misunderstanding you would like to clarify? You know, you spoke about people hiding these children. Some people have them, and your neighbors with them. You never know there's a child like that existing in that
the
house,
house,
and
yes.
they deliberately take the children away from the house in the middle of the night, somewhere, you know, just to dispose, in quotes, dispose of that child. What's the misconception you would like to
I
clarify?
just want them, you know, I just want everybody to know and create the awareness that the children with special needs are just like every other person, and given the chance, they could just be just like any of your other children. You know, it's just that it takes extra time and extra, you know, care for them to get to that moment. So every child should be given their different milestones. Don't compare other children with that child. That child, given the chance to, would excel, and some of them excel better than the so-called normal children that we have. So we must, you know, learn to embrace them in whatever we do.
Okay. The name Magoro, does it open doors for you? Did it open doors? Does it still open doors?
Well, I would say the name Magoro has been a blessing, okay, because it's a name that I've been very proud of. And the reason is because it's when you mention the name Magoro, what it gives you is the next thing you think about is integrity and somebody that has served the nation. Not money, but it shows somebody has served the nation. And it does, in a way, it does open the doors. It helps in here and there. And then people that want the truth, when they hear the name Magoro, they tend to, you know, are there, listen for what the truth and integrity is all about. Yes.
Okay. We've been speaking with Dr. Bilkisu Magoro. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today, Dr. Bilkisu.
It's been a pleasure.
A child is like a butterfly in the wind. Some can fly higher than others, but each one flies the best it can. Why compare one against the other? Each one is special. Each one is beautiful. Unknown author. Different does not mean less. And these quotes help us to remember that having special needs does indeed come with some special qualities that should be celebrated. Until next week, when we bring you another interesting guest, I remain your host, Aminat Hassan. Stay safe, remain blessed, and compliments of the season.